Yeah. So, uh, yesterday we were seeing the topics like exception handling and object class methods. So, the last object class method that we had seen was equals method, and we had seen the difference, like how basically we can compare two objects if they are equal or not. And we had seen the example of employee class, where in employee class it had two attributes like id and name, and we were trying to compare employee objects. So we had seen this example yesterday also. This was like comparing two objects, like employee objects with the default implementation of equals. But I told you, right, we can override this equals method as well. What if I want to provide my own implementation of equals method? So there is some piece of code written over here which I need to like uncomment to see how I can change the behavior. You all remember this example from yesterday's class, right? So we had an employee class which had two data members like id and name, and then we had created one parameterized constructor for initializing the data members, and I had two getter methods for getting the id and getting the name. Now in this test class I basically created one of the employee objects, and it had a reference variable named even. I provided the id and name as 1 and Andrew. Then what I did was I assigned the same object reference to a new employee object reference. So E2 and E1 are basically pointing to the same object. So if you print out this system.out.println E1 dot equals E2, then you will get that this will return you true because they are both pointing to the same object. Now what I did was I created a new object employee E3 is equal to new employee. So this is a new object in the memory, and this is different from E2 and E1. So, but at line number 11, what I did was E2 is equal to E3. So E2 and E3 are now pointing to the same object. And so if you do an E1 dot equals E2, what it will basically do is it will give you false, because initially E1 and E2 were pointing to the same object. Now E2 is pointing to E3, and if you do an E2 dot equals E3, that will give you true. Any questions till here? If anyone has any doubts till here, let me know. This we had seen yesterday itself. So there is one more thing that I want to show you. This was with the default implementation of equals method. Means whatever hash code the equals hash code Java has for this object, it is comparing according to that. But I want to override this behavior. What I want to do, I want to like say, suppose if if two separate employee objects have their IDs equal, then I want those objects to be considered as equal. Are you getting my point? Let's say I want that if two employee objects have their IDs equal, I want that particular objects to be considered as equal. So I can do that, and for doing that, what I need to do, I need to override the equals method. I need to override the equals method. So how basically I'll do this is I'll create one public boolean equals method, and this equals method will take employee object as a reference. this will take an employee object as a reference. And what we'll basically do, we'll provide this implementation here. So we have this get id method, right? We have this get id method. So we will write down something like this: get id is equal to e dot get id. So from this object reference, we'll get the id e dot get id. If both these are equal, then we will return true. If these are not equal, then we'll return false. So what this means is, if two employee objects have their IDs equal, then we'll return true. Okay, let's try to comment out this program, this piece of code, and see the output. See, we are getting a true for this because E1 and E2 are pointing to the same object, and then we created an E3 and assigned E2 to E3, and now we are printing the same. So this will print me false, right? Why? Because E2 started pointing to E3. So this will return me false. And again, we'll check if E1 is equal to E3. This will return me false. And E2 dot equals E3. So this will also return me true, because at line number 11, I assigned E3 to E2. So this was the example which we saw yesterday, but I will try to put some twist in this. I would want to override this behavior, override this equals method behavior. So what I mean now is, if the IDs of two employee objects are equal, this should be considered as equal. So we'll see how this can happen. Let's try to run this program. Can you tell me, like, what are the four outputs that I will get now? If I run this program, what will be the output? Anyone try to take a guess? Since the IDs, since I'm making a comparison based upon the IDs of the employee objects, what would be the output of this program? Let me try to run this program. Okay, 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Let me try to generate override method, override equals method, and let's say, Just a minute, let me check this. Okay, if e dot get id, if this dot get id, okay, let me try to take a different example. Just a minute. Let this example be as it is, whatever we saw yesterday. And I will create a new class. Let's say I'm creating a student class, and this has two data members. It has two data members as id and name. And let me try to generate the constructor for this. Let me also try to generate the getter methods for this. Let me also try to generate the equals method. Let's say public boolean equals student s. if s dot get id is equal to get id, we want to basically return true, else will return false. Okay, so let me create another tester class. Let me name it as test. Let me create one main method, and let me try to create employee object, student object. Student s equal to s1 is equal to new student. Let me try to pass some values. Student s2. Let me try to compare these objects. Okay, good. So see, w- I've created a student object, a student class, and this has two data members. One is ID, other is name. And I've initialized the data members using this parameterized constructor, and I have two getter methods, one for getting the ID and one for getting the name. So for now, forget that we do not have this equals method. And what I tried to do, I tried to create two student objects. One is S1 and one is S2. So these are two separate objects, right? And these are like pointing to two different objects in the memory. So if I compare both these objects now, if I do s1 dot equals s2, so this is giving me false, right? Everyone clear with this? This was the same example which we saw yesterday with that employee class. Now what I want to do, I want to override the behavior of equals method. And how basically I want to do this? I want to say that my two student objects are actually same if they have the same ID. So if the IDs of two student objects are same, we want that particular object to be considered as equal. So now we'll go ahead and try to again run this. Okay, this is again giving me false. Now it was giving me true. What is the issue? Okay. mm, public boolean equals, let's say, student s. If get id is equal to s dot get id, return true, else return false. Okay, see, when these two student objects have different IDs, so and I'm overriding this equals method. So when these two student objects have two different IDs, so this time they are considered as unequal objects. But see, what I'm basically doing, if get id is equal to s dot get id, return true. So if I make both the IDs as same, if I make both the IDs as same, then this returns me true. Now, what is basically happening? I know that these two student objects are basically pointing to two different objects in the memory, and they are supposed to give me a false value when I compare them. But after overriding the equals method, I have provided some definition of my own. This is some custom definition that I have provided. So if the IDs are same for both the objects, I want those objects to be considered as equal. And that is why this student S1 and student S2 objects, if I compare them now, those these two objects return me a value of true. So this is it. I am comparing based upon the ID of one of the attributes I am taking, and I am comparing the objects. So this is basically overriding the equals method. Means the default behavior of the equals method has been overridden. You can also try to compare the name and also check object equality here, because we have two attributes but we chose id. So using id we have made the comparison for the student object, and we are able to override this equals behavior. Okay, if I, so now TJ wants me to run it without the override method. So if I uncomment this, then it will provide me a value of false. So now we are running this with the overridden equals method, which is basically checking the objects based upon the ID, and that is why we are getting a value of true. If I uncomment this, this should return me false. If I uncomment this and try to run this will give me a value of false. So this is giving false as expected. So why it is giving me false is, now these two objects are basically pointing to different memories in the heap, and they are totally different objects. So even if the IDs are same, it doesn't matter because our equals method is not overridden. So that is why it will provide a value of false. Now if you override this equals method, uncomment this and again run this, then this will provide you a value of true. So this is how you can basically override a equals method. So this was about the equals method. We'll see some more object class methods. So this example we have seen, and we had also discussed a bit about the string class yesterday. So you have already known about the string data type. So when we were going through the data types, we had heavily used the string data type as well. So in creating the classes while creating the data members, we have already seen the string class. Now I want you, I'll give some brief on the string class. So string classes are basically uh, string class is basically found in the java.lang package, and it provides functionality to work with strings that cannot change. So string is also called as immutable. So what immutable means is that cannot be changed. So once you create a string, that cannot be modified. So there are different classes for that. Java provides two different similar functionality classes which have their behavior similar to the string class, and those are string buffer and string builder. I'll show that demo as well. So string class is basically final in Java. So we know that whenever a class is final in Java, that is like immutable. What it means is final class cannot be overridden. You remember when we talked about inheritance, and when we talked about the use of final keyword. So whenever any class is marked as final, that class cannot be inherited, right? So final keyword basically had three usage, right? So if a class is marked as final, that class cannot be inherited. If a method is marked as final, that method cannot be overridden. And if a variable or a data member is marked as final, that particular data member has its value as constant. It cannot be changed. So Java has provided the default implementation of string as final. So string class is basically immutable. It cannot be modified. So let me take the example now. I'll show you some examples. Let me create one string demo, and let me create one main method here. Let's say I have string student. Let's say I have a string name, and I have John. Let's say let me try to print out this name. And then what I basically do, name plus, let's say I appended some John with some star star, simply like this. And again I print this name. Okay, I'm still running the, so this string will not be modified. So now let's go ahead and make some edits to this. name is equal to Peter. See, now it is modified. Means we will have to reassign this. We will have to reassign this new value to this name. Otherwise, this cannot be modified. You got that? When we created this string literal, this is an example of string literal. String literal is basically a string constant or string literal, we can say. Whenever we created a string, so at that time, what happened, this created an object for us. So whenever we create a string literal as well, it Java considers this as a string object, and I printed this out. So this is giving me a value of John, and then I reassigned this value to Peter. So now this is okay. This is like creating another object. When I reassign this is basically creating another object, and I'm getting a value of Peter. But I want to basically do some operations on this. I want to modify this. I have like done name plus something like this, but this does not get modified. Even after this I print, I'm still getting Peter. So for this functionality, whenever you want to basically modify your objects a lot, Java has provided us some different class, and that is basically string buffer and string builder. We will see how we can utilize that. So whenever you want to use string functionalities and you want to modify the strings very often, we go for string buffer and string builder. I will show you the demo for that as well. Okay, let's come to the slide. So we have seen this point. String class is final to maintain immutability, read only, and to provide performance benefit. The string class supports simple constructors. So public string constructs a new string with the value of an empty string. Okay, this is fine. Okay, these are some of the overridden constructors. Means string built-in classes have these constructors. So the most basic methods of string objects are length and caret. The length method returns the number of characters, and caret returns the character. Okay, we'll see some of the methods of the string. So if I try to print the length of the string, I can use this method. So if I do name dot length, see, whenever we already have a string defined as name, right? So if you do something like name dot, you will get all the different options what you can basically do with this string. So see the options. There are like lot of functions, the a lot of methods that Java has provided. You can do this name dot to lowercase. Okay, name dot to lowercase, and let me try to print this. See, last, okay, let's say first print out the length, name dot length, and so length of this string is basically 5. So we have 5 characters in Peter, so the length will be 5. Now let's go ahead and try to print this in the lowercase, name dot to lowercase. Let's again run this. See the difference in the output. All the characters are now in lowercase, right? At the end, all the characters are in lowercase. So Let's again print name. See, this is what string immutability is. What I did here at line number 15, I changed the string to lowercase, name dot to lowercase. But again, when I print this at line 16, you see this is our original string that we had, right? So this is still intact. Our original string is still intact. So this has not modified. We were just able to print this, but our string did not get modified. We still had the value of Peter here. Unless and until we go ahead and again reassign that name with some new value, this will not get modified. Means that is like again creating a new object and assigning, but our original string did not get modified. So that is why string is immutable. So if you go ahead and see all the functionalities of this string, right? Let's say I want to get some of the index. Let's say I want to get index at get the character at index 1. So what I will basically do, name dot caret 1. So caret provides me the character at this position. So if I print out, see, I'm getting E, because in Peter at index 1 we have E. So P is at index 0, E is at index 1. So that is why we are able to get this. So similarly, you can go ahead and try to explore all the string methods. If you just declare any string and do this kind of dot, see, we have this caret method. Caret method basically returns you the character at that particular index. Then we have the length method, which will basically return you the length of the string. Then there is another method like starts with. If you want to check if your string starts with this particular prefix or this particular suppose I want to check like Peter dot starts with PE. So if that prefix is basically matching, you will get a value of true, otherwise you will get a value of false. So similarly, there is another override and starts with method. So you can provide an offset, like what is, how much characters do you want to check from the starting. Let's say name dot starts with, I want to give something like this, offset is 1, false. Okay, let's provide the offset as 2. Okay, okay, let's take this example, name dot starts with PE. See, what I'm trying to see, this is the prefix that I'm passing here, name dot starts with. So Peter starts with PE, right? So this is the prefix that I have provided. So this will provide me a value of true. So let's go ahead and explore some of more methods of string. This is like converting to lowercase. If you want your string to be printed in lowercase, you can provide this to lowercase. If you want to print this in uppercase, there is another method like to uppercase. Then there are like, again there's a method like ends with. If you want to check if your string ends with something like this, ends with, let's say, er, so this will again provide you a value of true. Now again, what I want to do, I want to explore some more methods. Let's say, and this is also one of the important methods. Let's say I want to compare two strings and I want to like ignore the cases. So initially we have like Peter, and let's say I want to compare something like this. So this will also return me a value of true. Now if I do an equals method, just see this difference. If I want to do this equals method here and try to do something like this will give me a false. Why? Because equals method checks for exact equality of the contents. Name has P as capital in Peter, right? And I'm comparing it with small letter cases. So this will like return me false. And when we use this equals ignore case method, so this basically returns a value of true. Why? Because it is ignoring the capital or small casing. So that basically ignores the case. So you can just try to go over this. You can try to like explore these fun methods. There are like lot of methods here. So explaining all this won't be possible. I'll explain some of those methods. There is like split method. So name dot split. Let's say I am splitting this based upon the I'm split. Let's say I want to split this. So this is basically providing me an array. I'll split this into a string array. So when you split any string, you'll get an character array. Means string is basically a combination of characters, right? So when you split a string, then you'll get basically a name dot split. Okay, 1 second. Required character provided string. Okay, let's say I've declared one string here. Let's say I've declared another string. Let's say, and I want to split this based upon this at the rate. And also let me provide some offset. Okay, sorry, my bad. This will take a string itself. So basically this will split this string. New name dot split at the rate. So what this will basically do, it will look for the string new name, and it will see that if I have some at the rate here at any point, it will split the string based upon this delimiter. So let me, let's say this is like string array. Let's say I want to print what is at index 0 at what is at index 1. See, at index 0 we have Java, at index 1 we have training. So what we basically did was we split this particular string based upon this delimiter. So before this delimiter this will be a string, and after this delimiter this will be a string. Similarly, you can choose to split different types of string. Suppose you have a sentence, let's say welcome to Java training, and I want to split this into words. I want to split all the strings, this particular string into words, different words. So what I will do, I'll take this sentence and I will split it based upon space. So see, between any two different words we have space. So what we'll basically do, we will split this based upon space. So this is one of the regular expressions which you need to pass. Like if you write double backslash s, so that means we are splitting based upon space. So let's go ahead and try to print. Okay, now that we have a string of words, what we'll basically do, we'll try to go ahead and use our for each loop method to print this. Let's say, and let's say I want to print it this way itself. See, I'm able to get this output, right? Welcome to Java training. So I'm able to print different words here in this manner. So I was able to split the string based upon the space. So similarly, if you see, like there are like a lot of methods you can go and try to just explore this. When you do string dot, you will get to know like all the. So you can also use this index of method where you can like pass the index and whatever. uh, so index of method will be basically able to tell you the let's go into this documentation. So index of will be basically returning you the position of the first occurrence of the specified character. So if you pass any character, right, that index of method returns the first occurrence of any specified characters. So this is how you can like explore each of the methods. Like if you just write down any method and click on this, right, you'll get to reach this documentation and you can read out this documentation. So this is how you can like explore each of these string methods. So these were some of the methods, important methods that we discussed. So see, here we have created a string literal. You can also create a string object, something like this. String new string is equal to new string, and then you can choose to create an empty string, or you can choose to create something like this. So you have your string created like this. So you can choose to create your string in this manner as well. And you can perform the same operations on this as well, new string dot, and you will get all the methods. So these are some of the methods that we have discussed. You can create a string object as well, like this, creating a string object. So these are some of the string methods and string functionalities that you can choose to explore. Go ahead and try to explore as much as methods that string provides. So see, these are some of the methods which have been discussed in the slide. You can construct a string with a value, empty value. So you can create a string with the empty value or provide some value. Then you can use this method, length method, to get the return the length of the string. Then we have already seen this caret method. If you pass the index or the position of any character that you want, it will return you the character at that position. So you can try to see these examples and try to do some demo on your own and try to make the string comparisons, try to create new strings, use the double equals operator to see if two string objects are equal or not. You can use the equals method to see if the contents of two strings are equal or not. See, these are some of the methods that have been described here. These are some of the searching methods that have been described here. So try to use these methods and try to print out those, create new strings, try to explore as much as possible in all the methods of the string. Then there are more methods. We have seen this equals ignore case, right? This is basically comparing two strings and ignoring the case. So this is equals ignore case. Then we have compare to method. So it basically compares two strings. So string 1 dot compare to string 2. You can provide this. This method basically returns a value of -1, 0 or 1. So based upon if your first string is lexicographically smaller, means uh, that is alphabetically. Suppose you can check two strings and get to know which of your string is basically alphabetically coming first. So it is used for that comparison. Then there are some methods like string replace. What you can basically do, you can try to replace some occurrences of some character, or you can choose to replace all the occurrences of that particular character in a string, and that will provide you a new string. So these are some of the methods. Split method we have already seen. Oh, okay, one more important method was substring. So if you go and try to create, let's say we have something called string substring. So you basically go ahead and try to new string dot substring, and we want to do something like this and go ahead and try to print this substring. So see what this basically did. This started from index 5. So in your Java training, if you see J is at index 0, then A at 1, B at 2, A at 3, and at index 4 we have space, and then at index 5. So from index 5 until the end, this has created a new substring. So substring is basically a part of your string. So we are able to basically create a part of the string from the original string, and we are able to print it. See, substring training. So we are able to split this string into a substring. So this is also one of the important methods you will get to see. Then these are some of the methods that we already saw: uppercase, lowercase. Trim method is basically like trimming the spaces in the string. Suppose your string contains some spaces in the beginning of the string and at the end of the string. So you can use this method trim to actually return your string with removed spaces. So these are some of the methods. String value of string hash code. This basically returns a hash code for the string. So hash code is some kind of like address value or integer value that is provided for any Java object. So any Java object has a hash code, and hash code basically is an integer value that must be true if the same method is being called on the same object each time. So if I call a hash code method on a string, so it should return me the same value each time. So that means that two equal objects must always have their hash codes equal. So this is the condition of an hash code. So So we have seen that string class is immutable. So whenever we try to modify a string, that was not possible. So for that purpose, Java has provided another class which is string buffer class. So string buffer class is basically, it has like all the methods similar to string methods, and it has some different methods provided for mutability purpose. So you can basically try to modify a string buffer as well. So let's go ahead and try to see this. So I'll create another string buffer
Okay.
demo. Hello, yes, and I'll create a main method. Let me try to create one string buffer object. So basically, whenever you want to create your string buffer, let's say string buffer string is equal to new string buffer. You'll write down something. You can choose to create something like this without passing anything, and you can pass something as well here. Let's say hello. So what now you can do is you can append any number of things here. Let's say string dot append. Let's say I'm appending one space and I'm appending this word. And let's say, okay, let's name it as string buffer. Let me try to run this. So see, initially we created a string buffer with the content just as hello, and we appended something after that, like this word. So if I print it now, okay, let me try to print this now. Okay, one
Use
second.
debugging. Use debugging.
Sorry, what?
Use debugging. I think it's on not RAM.
See, we are able to get this printed, right? See, we are able to get this output. Sorry, I did not get what you were speaking. See, we were able to get this output, right? Hello world. You can try to like append any number of things here. You can do something like this as well, like chaining of appends as well. Dot append again. Hello world. Then you can welcome to Java training. Again, try to print out this. Hello world, welcome to Java training. So you can choose to like print anything like this. So this class is basically similar to the string class, and it has like the same methods as the string class, but the objects of the string buffer class, right, this can be modified. And that is the benefit of this. Whenever you want some functionality with the string and you want to mutate your object or modify your objects as much as possible, you can go for string buffer class and not use string class. So that is the benefit of this string buffer class. So you can choose to use this whenever you want to modify the string objects. So see, again, this has the same methods. This has some this delete caret method as well, which are not there in string. So you can choose to uh, use these string buffer methods. So these methods are not there in string class, like string buffer reverse. So you can choose to basically reverse a string as well. Let's say I want to reverse this string buffer dot reverse. So what this will do, this will reverse the entire thing. This will reverse like case by case, means everything what was there at the end is at the beginning now. So this is like kind of reversing. You can try to explore this. So these are again these methods. These are the additional methods which are there in the slide. All the methods in the string class which were there, those are also there for string buffer class, but this has some additional methods as well. Now again there is another class which is like string builder, and string builder is similar to string buffer, but this has some performance optimization. When we will study the topic threads, right, we will come to know something about synchronization. I will not teach about synchronization now. I'll just let you know that string builder methods are not synchronized, and synchronization basically reduces the performance. We'll study more about synchronization when we study the topic multi-threading and threads. So string builder and string buffer have the same usage. This also has the same methods. It's just that for performance benefits, you can choose string builder. So similarly, you can create a string builder object as well. You can choose to like append anything here. So this is like similar to your string buffer. It's just that the performance of the string builder is better than the performance of string buffer. So for performance reasons, sometimes string builder is chosen over string buffer. Why? Because string builder methods are not synchronized, and that improves the performance of string builder. So these are some of the examples of string buffer and string builder. So you can read through the slides and try to explore the methods as much as possible. Also showed you like how you can go ahead and try to check the the documentation, Java documentation. So you can choose to read those as well, and you can go through the slides and try to like explore as much as possible. Okay, let's see some of the different classes like wrapper classes and auto back boxing. Everyone is fine with like extending for 10-15 minutes, or do you want me to discontinue for today? Okay, I'll continue for 10 minutes. So we have some wrapper classes in Java, and wrapper classes are basically, you have already seen like primitive data types, right? So when we talked about data types, we talked about different data types like char, boolean, character, and then long, integer, byte, sort, float, double. We talked about this primitive data types, and we when we were going through the module data types. Now there are some wrapper classes, and what these wrapper classes are, these classes are basically objects of the primitive types. So wrapper classes are basically objects of the primitive data types. So this is again extending from the object class. So we know that object class sits at the top of the hierarchy of all the classes. So these classes extend from the object class, and these are some of the wrapper classes. Like class is a wrapper class, boolean, number, character, void, long, integer. So see, we are using capital letters when we want to declare any wrapper class. So we'll see how we can basically use a wrapper class. Let me try to go ahead and create a new package. So there won't be much of the examples in wrapper class. This is a small topic. Let me try to go ahead and create a main method. So we know that this is like we can declare some integer variable, something like this, if you want to declare, right? Now what I want to do, I want to convert this into a wrapper class. Let me try to create an integer. we can do something like this. So this process is called auto boxing. So auto boxing is basically converting primitive data type to wrapper class. You can also try to create an object of the wrapper class like this is equal to new integer and then pass some value. Let's say I'm passing some value here. So this is also how you can basically create a wrapper class. So similarly, you can create a wrapper class for float as well. Float, float value, let's say currency, new float, let's say 80F. So you can choose to create any different wrapper classes. And let's say I want to do something like this. Let's say I want to create a, so see what I'm basically doing. I am converting this wrapper class into a primitive type. So this is basically called unboxing. Converting wrapper class to primitive data type. So see, we can use this interchangeably like wrapper class and primitive data types. So why was there a need to introduce this wrapper class? What is the basic usage that Java had to introduce this wrapper classes? So wrapper classes can basically handle your null values as well. Null values. So we can create initialize any wrapper class with a null value. See, if I want to initialize any primitive data type, let's say I have created one double value, double variable. Let's say I want to assign something like this. See, I started getting an error, right? I starting getting an error. Now, if I just try to create something like this, double value is equal to null. This is possible using wrapper classes. So wrapper classes can basically handle your null objects as well. So going forward, whenever you create any real-time project, so most of the time you will be using your wrapper classes. Why? Because in your projects you can expect some null values as well, right? So these wrapper classes will basically handle your null values as well. So it is because of this reason that these wrapper classes are very much important. And also when you study about collections framework, so collections framework basically when you use there are like different collection frameworks data structures that will go through. So they only accept wrapper classes. They do not accept integers or sorry, they do not accept any primitive data types. So that is why these wrapper classes are very important. Let's see through the slide. So any so we have seen this slide, right? So we had seen these data types as part of primitive data types module as well. So we can create the wrapper classes for all those, and this will be very much required because wrapper classes can handle null values, and these also have a lot of importance in your collection framework module. So wrapper classes are heavily used there. So that is why I needed to cover this. There's nothing much in great detail apart from the unboxing and auto boxing. Means you can convert a primitive data type to a wrapper class, and you can convert your wrapper class object to a primitive data type. So that is basically auto boxing and unboxing. So this was about wrapper classes. Then we have some utility classes. And by utility classes, I mean that these utility classes like calendar class, date class, and scanner class. So date class is basically used to get the date in Java, and calendar class is also used to do the same. Let me show you some of the demos of this calendar class. And okay, let me go ahead and try to create a package. Utility classes. I will show you the demo of calendar class demo, calendar demo. Let me try to. So while creating the projects, you might have some requirement to deal with dates, and you might have some requirement to deal with the date, month, or day of that particular. Okay, there is some typo in this. Okay, so you might need to deal with dates or months or years, and you might need to like modify those if required. So there is some library that Java provides, like the calendar class. So you can basically create the calendar class. So this is in this java.util package. So whenever I create a calendar object, right? So see, this auto imported this library. So this is in Java util package, java.util.calendar. Calendar is the class and util is the package. So this util package basically contains this kind of utility classes. So let me try to go ahead, and this calendar has some methods already. So calendar dot get instance. If I do something like this and try to print out current date, what I want to do is, let's say I want to get the time. See, again, this has like got a lot of methods, like see, get time. You can get the time in as date format. You can get the time in milliseconds. You can get different time zone times, and then you can get the calendar type. So you can choose to like explore by exploring the methods. So let me try to go ahead and try to print out this. So let me try to run this. See, I'm able to print the current date. Like today is Thursday, January 4, 9:32, 23. So this will be basically showing me my local time in IST. Since I am in IST, this will be showing me this. If you try to run this, it will show your local time. So for you, it might be like January 3rd and your local time, like 10 uh, 45 or something like that. So you will get your local time. So this is one of the calendar methods. Now you can do some operations on this, like you can choose to. seed dot get. So if you want to print out something like this, calendar dot year, you can choose to print out your year from this calendar. So you can do something like c dot get, and then there is like some of the static fields that you need to pass, like calendar dot year. This will basically give you the year. So this is year. So these methods are very important when you are dealing with real-time projects and you want to deal with different dates. So again, if you want to print out the month, you can just go ahead, try to change this. So you'll be able to print this. So similarly, you can try to print out the, let's say, minute. So let's try to run this. Year is 2024, month is 0. So the index of the month will start from 0, not 1. So if it is January, it will be 0. If it is Feb, it will be 1. And if it is December, it will be like 11. And see, it's giving you the current minute. So whatever is the minute currently, we are able to get it like this. So this is these are some of the methods of this calendar classes. And you can also do some operations. Suppose you want to add some dates, means you want to modify this c dot add. Suppose I want to add calendar dot date and I want to add 10 days ahead. Now what I'm basically doing, let me print out again c. Okay, let me print out c dot get time. See, today is 4th January. When I added 10 days, so calendar dot date, I wanted to add 10 days ahead. So it showed me this date, right? January 14th, and the timestamp was like this. So similarly, if I want to add some date in the past, like I want to reduce some time, let's say I want to do -10. So from this date, January 14, again it will give me the previous dates. So it will subtract 10 days from this January 14th. So you can like go back in the past as well. You can modify the dates like with this add. And so whenever you want to add any future dates, provide the number of days. Whenever you want to add any dates in the past, means you just provide it with appending this minus. So you can add years as well. So just go ahead and see this calendar dot year. Year. So if I print this now, this will print me an year of 2025. So this is basically giving me the timestamp of 2025, right? So these are some of the calendar class methods that you can choose to explore. So similarly, we have some different utility class as well. Let's take one of the more examples. We have some date demo as well. We have some local date as well. Let's see local date demo. So this local date class was also introduced as part of utility class, and this also has like lot of importance. So this also does similar time, a similar kind of things that your calendar class does. It deals with dates, time, years. So this you can choose to use this as well. So this is like local date. Okay, okay. Local date, time, dot now. So if you do this, you'll get the current local date time. And also if you want to like modify some date formatter, if you want to like print the date in suppose mmddYY format, you can set some date time formatter as well. I know that this would be like a lot of syntaxes for you for now, means these are, but these are just some kind of libraries that you can try to like explore. Let's say I want to format this now, date time formatter dot let's say of pattern, and let's say I am providing some pattern here. I want to print the date in, let's say, mmdd YYYY. Let's say I want to print this local date. Okay, one second. Okay, date time formatter. We will need to use this format method as well here. Okay, let's try to run this now. Okay, we'll get something like this. If I remove this comma, so 01/04/2024. So this way you can choose to format. So we have created one local date instance here, and we are using date time formatter for formatting this date in mmddYYY, and I'm able to format this using this date time formatter dot format. There's a method, and you can choose to pass this object reference of this local date. You'll be able to format this date. So this is how you can basically choose this. So you can choose to like explore a lot of this local date methods as well. If you go to this local date, see, get day of month, you can again choose to print out something local date dot get day of month. So let me try to run this. So it is like the fourth day of the month. So you can try to print this. So similarly you can choose to print get day of week, get day of year. So we can print Thursday. So there are like lot of methods you can choose to explore. You can get the hour, you can get the minute, you can get long, what is the current year, current second. So is after, you can also choose to compare two dates. S- like suppose you have two different dates and you want to compare them, that this date is before or this date is after. So that will like return you some of the boolean values. So try to explore these things. There are like lot of methods. If you want to add some days, right, local date dot plus days, let's say I want to add 10 days. So let me try to go ahead and print this. See, it added some days, right? And it, you are seeing this particular date, right? So today is 4th. It is showing 2024, that is the year, 01, that is the month, and 14, like 4 plus 10. So similarly, you can choose ahead to add some days here. So these are some of the methods of this local date. And we have also seen calendar demo. So try to like explore these classes. This will be like helpful in dealing with your uh, date related things. So this is this is about the utility class. We'll cover one more utility class today, and that is scanner demo. Let me try to create a main method. So as of now, whatever we have seen like in the main method we were providing some values. We were basically hard coding some values. So if you want some user input, suppose I want some user input, that the user provides some input from the keyboard. So I can choose to create something like that. So there's a utility class in Java that is like scanner class, and that helps me to perform some operations like that. So this is in java.util package. So let me try to import this. Let me try to create a reference variable for this and new scanner, and I want to get the input from the keyboard. So this is where we will provide something like system dot in. So this we need to provide here. And let's say I want some integer variable. I'm expecting some integer variable. So remember this integer, this is a wrapper class integer, right? So integer is equal to, I will use this reference of this scanner sc dot, and this has one of the methods like next int. So let me try to run this. When I try to run this, right, you see, okay, let me try to print out this as well. Number entered is equal to integer. So see, I'm trying to run this program, and at runtime I will be providing some values. Let's say I provided this value here 100, and when I provide this value 100 here, this value will be assigned to your integer. This will be assigned to your integer because we are taking the input from the keyboard. Scanner sc is equal to new scanner system.in. This is for getting the input from the keyboard. So when I write something like integer, this is like expecting an integer input, and sc.nextInt. NextInt is basically giving me an integer value. So when I press this enter, so you are able to see this output, right? Number entered is 100. So similarly, we can choose to get input from the keyboard as sc dot next. So when I do this sc dot next, I can take a string as I can take a string out input. So string entered. Are you able to follow this or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll explain Gesso. Just give me a minute. So, okay, one second. Let me try to enter this. That is not a random integer guesser. I provided the input. See here. Now I have used this. I've created this scanner object here, right? And I'm using this scanner object to populate one integer and to populate one string variable. So what I'm basically doing at line number 9, I'm expecting to enter one integer variable, and at line number 13 uh, I'm expecting the user to input some string. So I'll pass 100. So when I hit enter, I'll get number entered is 100, and now I print something like hello. So I get something like string entered is hello. So this is what you can do. You can provide the input from your keyboard at runtime. So this is like providing the user the choice to enter these values. You got this, right? Everyone got this demo, like how you can get input from the keyboard. So yeah, we basically created a scanner object, and you can choose to get the input from the keyboard. You can choose to get integer, you can choose to get string. So similarly, if you want some double value, you will create a wrapper class and sc dot next double, and again you will print out something like this: double value entered is value. Let me try to go ahead and try to run this. 100 number entered. Then okay, I'll see, we got some error here. I'll tell you what. When I do this string str is equal to string sc dot next, right? I'm expecting just a single word of string. So that's why I got it. I got this error. Now, if I want if I want continuous words, like if I want many words of a string, I can use a next line. Now let me try to again run this. So, okay, let me try to pass 100 number and okay, one second. Okay, one second. Okay, let me see. See, let me Java training. Okay, there is some typo, but don't worry about the typo. Then I'll pass some string. Then I'll pass some, let's say 20.5 double value entered. So this way you can choose to pass your input from the string. So this is basically passing values at runtime. So you can choose to use this scanner uh, Whenever you want the user to provide some choice of values, you can try to use this utility class. So today we have gone through a lot of small topics. So we went through calendar utility class, we went through local date demo class, and then we went through scanner demo class. So these were some of the utility classes: local date, calendar, and scanner. You can choose to you can go ahead and try to explore this. I will send out this demo to you as well. We also saw some of the wrapper class demo. This was an easy topic. We saw the topics like auto boxing and unboxing, how you can convert a primitive data type to a wrapper class, and how you can convert a wrapper class to primitive data type, and why is there a need of using wrapper classes. So basically wrapper classes can handle null values as well, and wrapper classes are heavily used in collection framework. So once we study collection framework, we will get to see a lot of the wrapper classes. Then we went ahead and saw some of the demos related to string class methods, string buffer methods, and string builder methods. So why we use string is basically string is immutable. Whenever we have a need that our data types are not modified, we can choose to use string, and whenever we want that we need to modify the string objects very frequently, we can choose to uh, use string buffer, and we use string builder whenever we need performance optimization. So in that case you may choose to use string builder. What string builder has advantage over string buffer is that string builder methods are not synchronized. I will teach you about synchronization when I take the topic multi-threading. Then I will cover what synchronization is. But for now, understand that string builder methods are more optimized. They have performance benefits over string buffer methods. But most of the libraries, most of the methods that are there are similar to string builder. So we have covered this utility classes as well. You can go through the slides and try to explore as much methods. So I cannot cover all the methods because any class has 100 and thousands of there are hundreds and 150s method in one of the classes, but I've taught you the important ones. Try to explore the methods and try to practice as much as possible. So this will be very helpful for you when you create your real-time projects. So today's topic were very small topics. Each topics were quite small, but it was easy topics. And but just try to go through the demo. I'll send out this demo and YouTube recording by end of day today. Let me know if you have any questions, or we can wrap up the class for today. We'll start from collections framework next day, and that is a very important topic. I would recommend everyone to join that class. Do not miss that class. Collections framework is a very important topic. So I'll stop the recording.
Recording stopped.